You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Hey there, you're listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. Today I have a very special guest on. I interview school counselor Elissa Hughes. Elissa is a middle school counselor and she shares with us some amazing tips for starting an attendance committee. This is her topic that she's presenting on at Summer Summit, and I was just thrilled when she chose this topic because it's such a high need thing. I have counselors ask me all the time about ways to promote attendance, how to start attendance initiatives, and I honestly don't have hardly any experience in this area, so I was so excited to interview someone who did. She talks about how to do some strategies at each tier with your committee, and this is something she just started this year but has already seen amazing results. So I know you're going to love this episode with Elissa. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's play a little game of Would You Rather, School Counselor Edition. Okay, would you rather spend your weekend planning a group or spend your afternoon sitting in irrelevant PD? Yikes. Or would you rather be the only counselor with no one to collaborate with, or to spend hours searching online for engaging activities? All of these options are pretty bad, right? But unfortunately, they're all too real. But what if I told you I had a solution for you? What if I told you I had access to hundreds of school counseling lessons, groups, and activities, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most, and a community of like-minded school counselors to support you? You would say, yes, please. Well, that is what Impact is all about. Impact is my monthly membership for school counselors, and it helps you with all of these things. You get access to hundreds of resources. That's unlimited free downloads. Log in and get what you need right away to every single resource that's in my store. We add new resources each and every month. We're adding a new middle school and elementary resource each month, and some of these are bonus Impact exclusives, meaning that you can get resources just for members. You can request resources that you need and easily search so you can find exactly what you're looking for. And let's talk about the trainings, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most. We do these each and every month as part of our Coffee with the Counselor series. Impact members get to join for absolutely free. You earn PD certificates and you get exclusive access to members-only things like the Ultimate Small Group Experience and our Summer Summit Conference. And the community. Y'all, this is possibly my favorite part of Impact. I so look forward to jumping on these calls, to getting to know counselors who are similar to me and also completely different. It's so fun to hear from your experiences and your challenges, and everyone brings a unique perspective to the table. We have an exclusive online community, and we even have a cool app where you can chat with other counselors in these community circles. We have our monthly calls, like I mentioned, twice a month, and we share wins, troubleshoot tough cases, and just talk about what it's like to be a counselor, because so often we're on our own island at our school sites. So if any of that sounds like it's for you, I would love to see you inside Impact. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to solve all of your counselor problems. And I have a special offer for my listeners. Use code POD at checkout to save 10% off your first month. Okay, let's go to today's episode. Hey, Elissa, how are you?
Hi, Rachel. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast. And I'm excited that you're presenting at our Summer Summit this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I recorded my session this morning, so I'm
Perfect. I can't wait to watch it. Awesome. Well, let's tell the listeners who you are and a little bit about your background in education.
sure. So I'm Elissa Hughes. I started school counseling in 2018. Before that, I worked at 911 for 5 years. So I got that crisis response down pat. I've worked at all levels. I started in high school covering some leave for somebody. Then I worked at a K through 8 school, and now I'm in middle school. I think that's where I belong. So yeah, I'm a middle school counselor. I've been at my school for 4 years now.
Amazing. Wait, I'm so curious about your 911 job. So you were like the person who answers the calls?
Yes.
Oh
Yes. It was really exciting. I worked at a county right outside of Atlanta, Georgia. So as you can imagine, full spectrum of events from
Wait, are you from Georgia?
I work in a suburb county. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I'm from Georgia. I didn't realize you were from Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah.
County, Hiram.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. So the 911 that I worked at was Cobb. So
okay. Oh,
best.
that's such, yeah, big county, a lot going on there.
Yeah.
So, wait, I know this is like off topic, but I'm just fascinated. Do you have any like funny stories, like not sad ones, but like funny stories that
Yeah,
you?
sure. Sometimes the animal control calls were funny. Like people would call about snakes and they would end up being like worms.
Mhm.
Like just not even an emergency at all, just people being a little bit scared. Um,
Right.
which we can identify with unreasonable fears, right?
Yeah, I feel like there is some parallels to counseling here.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of got into it because I wanted a little more real time help. Because in 911, you have no resolution. You're just kind of like sending help and hope for the best.
Oh, I
So
didn't even think about that.
yeah, so there's definitely a little more resolution in school counseling. And I have a relative and one of my best friends is a school counselor, so that kind of led me there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, yeah, so let's talk about it. So tell us a little sneak peek of what you're going to be sharing at this year's Summer Summit. What's your topic about and some strategies for counselors?
For sure. I am going to present about attendance, which for the longest time seemed like an impossible thing. Um, at least for me in our little corner of the woods. Kids either came to school or they didn't, and whatever you did wasn't going to really make a difference. But this year we came at it with like a tiered approach and just did some whole school incentives that were really exciting and got some kids to change their ways a little bit. Some positive tier one stuff. We did a tier two sort of individual intervention because for me at least, like small groups with attendance in middle school just they didn't work.
Mhm.
Kids didn't want to um, share that kind of stuff in a group, whether they're um, sort of things that were keeping them at home were too big to share in their mind. Um, or it was just maybe they just wanted to sleep in and that wasn't going to change. So meeting with them individually really helped. And then the third tier, our social worker, just really digging down deep and figuring it out for us. So that's the short version. I really go a lot deeper in the
Yeah,
session.
yeah. So, yeah, I would love to have some examples. So, like, what's something you did at the tier one level for all students?
Yes. So, I'm sure everybody knows that attendance, especially at the end of the day, can kind of fall off at the end of the year. Like after testing is done, sometimes kids get picked up early and they don't stay the whole day. So in April, after state testing, for the whole month of April, seventh period, is our last period of the day, seventh period teachers could submit into a drawing every time their class had perfect attendance. And surprisingly, we had over like 100 entries. And the prize was Dairy Queen Blizzards, which
Oh,
is really exciting for kids.
yeah.
I work at a pretty low income school. So a lot of kids, we have a club that brings in Chick-fil-A sometimes. And a lot of kids in middle school have never had Chick-fil-A before, even. Yeah.
And in
Uh,
Georgia, that's like saying something.
I know. Yeah. I think Chick-fil-A or kind of a rural, that word is hard for me. School, the closest Chick-fil-A is like 25 minutes
Oh,
away. Um, so yeah, getting Dairy Queen Blizzards was a big thing. Kids like cheered when we walked in. It was so
yeah.
exciting. So that was one of the tier one things. And we got to give those Blizzards to one class per grade level, and Dairy Queen donated them, so we didn't even have to pay for them. So it was
Oh,
really
that's
exciting.
amazing. So,
Yeah,
did you reach out to Dairy Queen, or how did that work?
yeah. We reached out to Dairy Queen. I go into like who's in our attendance committee on the um, presentation, but one of our attendance committee members is really great at the community involvement, and she knew the guy at Dairy Queen, and she just had to like type an email, and he gave us those blizzards. So that was awesome.
Amazing. Oh, I love that idea. And
Yeah.
then for your one-on-one. So this is where you're digging deeper on the reasons why they're not coming.
Yeah.
And I'm so curious because I always think about this with attendance when it comes for like elementary or middle school, like they're not driving themselves to school. So I'm always like, is this like it always feels like it falls more on the parents in my mind. But maybe parents are already at work and they're just supposed to get themselves to the bus and they're missing it. I don't know. What are you seeing? Like, what are the reasons?
It's it's so vast.
Mhm.
Like some families are one car families.
Mhm.
So like the scheduling is off. A student refuses to ride the bus for a specific reason. Sometimes it's like a trauma thing, or there's somebody that's on the bus that isn't their favorite person, so they don't want to be near that person. We got to work that out. In some cases, students can opt for like special education buses. That has helped in some situations if they are already receiving special ed services. We have changed some modes of transportation for some kids, and that has helped. Um, some parents just aren't the strongest on getting their kids out of bed, and
Mhm.
that's not a fight that they're willing to fight day after day. So sometimes they're
Right,
just late to homeroom and they don't see that as a huge problem.
right.
Um, which in the grand scheme of things, is it? No. But for our numbers, yeah, kind of. Um, so it's so vast. It's literally different for every kid.
Mhm.
We
And
have,
then social work. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering, is the social worker doing like home visits at her level
Yes.
of intervention? Okay.
Yeah, so on the tier three, the social worker is doing home visits and like giving out some therapy recommendations if that's what's needed. Sometimes kids are just too anxious or really depressed and they just can't get out of school or get to school. Sometimes she helps with that change of transportation. Um, and sometimes kids just like don't come to school because they don't have enough clothes or they don't have laundry detergent. It's just, it could be any number of things. And sometimes they're not willing to even say any of that until you've met with them like 6 times.
Right.
So it really just like takes the commitment of getting to know that kid and that family and digging deep, honestly.
But a lot of these things, like, yeah, seem like things you could easily solve. I mean, like the transportation, like switching buses or
Yeah.
helping them like get access to, like if they needed laundry detergent or if it's like a breakfast issue or something like that. Okay, yeah. So is this the first year that you've done this, you said?
Yes. So we really couldn't get into attendance interventions right after COVID because people were just so, I don't even like talking about COVID anymore. Just like um just like they wouldn't if you wouldn't really like pressure somebody to come in when they're sick, right? But now it's like, oh, you have a stomach ache? Well, you can still come to school. I think we're brave enough to say that now.
Right.
Thankfully. Yeah, it was a huge problem. Um,
Maybe like bad habits started then,
yeah,
now they're
seriously.
later. And
Bad habits with parents and with students. So we're kind of having to break that cycle for sure. And that's just a lot of like re-educating.
right,
Um, and some of these parents um, don't have great educations, and that's just the way it is. So it might not be re-educating, it might just be educating in some cases and just getting the knowledge out. I don't think
right.
a parent per se would even know what chronic absenteeism is and what
Mhm.
we're trying to do or why we want to keep our numbers down. Like, what does it matter to?
Right. And different families value different things. I'm sure there's some families who don't really value like punctuality or even education in general. Like maybe the parents didn't finish, and they're just like,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal, to miss or everything.
No. Yeah, we've had to have some candid conversations about, yes, he does have a little itchy rash behind his ear, but you didn't need to pick him up from school for that. Like, he could have stuck it out. So,
Oh, I'm just thinking back. I remember my high school graduation. There was like an award. Somebody got perfect attendance for like their whole like life in school. And I'm like, what in the
I've
world?
seen that. We don't even do perfect attendance awards per se anymore. But I think maybe next year I can get
Yeah.
something like that back. I don't know. we'll see.
So, are you tracking any data on this? Have you looked at like how things have changed? Like, I'm sure your admin's curious to know.
Yes. So I share this in my presentation, but we reduced our number. I don't want to share the numbers because it's very exciting in the presentation. But
Or-
um, we were our rate of chronic absenteeism was higher than the state average,
Mhm.
and we reduced it significantly.
Wow,
Yeah,
one, that's
in
amazing.
1 year. Yeah, I don't want to take all the credit, but it's like, I mean, what else could it have been?
Yeah. I love it. No, it sounds great. And then, so you have your committee,
Yes.
you, the social worker. Who are some other people on the committee? Are they teachers who have volunteered?
It's only we have two school counselors at my school, the social worker and our family engagement coordinator. So it's
Okay.
just us four.
Wow.
We do all the events. Next year this previous school year was our first year in doing PBIS.
Mhm.
So we're going to try and get our PBIS committee to do more of the tier one events.
Mhm.
Um, at least help with us because I think it's going to grow a lot. And it is totally PBIS. It's like positive behavior intervention, basically being at school and celebrating that. So it's just us four on the attendance committee. But I think we'll grow next year, hopefully, to incorporate some PBIS in it to help with the
Yeah.
um, getting it done.
I love this. This is so inspiring. I
Yeah.
have counselors ask me all the time about attendance, and I have never done an attendance committee like that. So I'm so
Yeah.
glad to
I
learn.
um I saw a news article after we started this that the state of Georgia did some they have a statewide attendance committee.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and I don't want to quote the wrong thing, but I think if a school has a certain level of chronic absenteeism, they might like be told to have an attendance committee.
Mhm.
Um, so it's
Yeah.
I think it's coming because the levels are so staggering.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm so excited to learn more from your presentation, everyone. Watch Summer Summit so you can learn more.
Yeah.
Uh, let's talk a little bit about just your day in the life as a school counselor. I know every day is different, but I know our listeners love to hear like what other people are doing because so often there's only like one counselor at a school and they're like, I wonder what everyone else is kind of up to.
Yeah, sure. So in my school system, middle school starts the latest in the day. So our students start at 9, and we get there at 8:30. And then we get out at 4:30. So we're kind of a later time in the day. We as a school counselor, don't have like a morning duty. I kind of just get to um get settled and get like email checked and that sort of thing, see if there's anything waiting for me. I run an open mindfulness group 2 days a week that kids can sign up for that I have really loved this year. So that is 2 mornings a week. We teach some lessons sometimes. That's not an everyday thing. I'm not like in the specials rotation, thankfully, because that can be a thing sometimes for middle school counselors. Um, so we teach lessons and just respond to meeting requests. Um, we don't run a whole lot of small groups at my school. We do have some that are run by outside agencies. There's one mentoring agency that does a really awesome small group for our kids. But yeah, the day flies by every day. Never a dull moment. I don't, um, I feel like I am used appropriately. I don't think I have a lot of like other duties as assigned, thankfully. Um,
Great.
I don't really have time. There's only two of us. I think our
Right.
ratio is about 1 to 450.
Mhm. Tell me more about this mindfulness group. So it's like open, anyone can come?
Yes. So our county has a pretty good mindfulness program. Any teacher or staff member that goes through this mindfulness training um, can do mindfulness in schools. So we start out with some breathing, some movement, um, and then I get to do whatever, basically. It's a lot of art stuff. We go outside, we do some mindful walking sometimes. Um, let's see, for Valentine's Day, we did, do you know what those perler beads are? They're like little beads and you like melt them. Have you seen those? We did those. I just do a lot of different activities that really just keep the kids in the moment. So it's really fun.
Oh, that's so fun. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I have one final question for you,
Sure.
Alyssa. What advice would you give to a school counselor who's just starting out if this upcoming school year is going to be their first year?
Hmm. I would say always try to see things from the other person's point of view. Because you never really know what another person is going through. So yeah, just keep other people's perspective in mind, and don't take anything too seriously.
I love it. And start an attendance committee. You
Yeah,
might.
yeah, yeah. Monitor those attendance numbers.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks again for
Yay.
Summer Summit. We're so excited for that. Where can the listeners find you if if they have like a follow-up question or anything?
Absolutely. I am most active on Instagram at Not Your Average School Counselor. I do have a TikTok. Couldn't tell you what it is. It's like you gotta like shorten your name. It's like
Yeah.
Not Average School Counselor spelled funny. But yeah, mostly Instagram.
Awesome. Great. So
Yeah,
guys, send us a message if you start an attendance committee or have any questions. I think this is great. I'm so excited. I know this is like a high need topic. So I was so excited.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks
Well,
for having me, Rachel.
you're welcome. Great chatting with you. I hope you found this episode with Elissa helpful. As you can tell, we recorded it before the Summer Summit actually started, but she was one of our Summer Summit presenters. And like I said, the presentation's amazing. She shares those shocking stats about how her attendance committee has improved attendance in just 1 year. She shares how to find people for your attendance committee. It's a really great presentation, and I don't want you guys to miss it. The good news is, even if you did miss Summer Summit, you can still join us if you go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact. You can join Impact, which is my membership for school counselors, and inside Impact, you get access to all of my counseling resources, professional development every month, and an engaged community of counselors. But you also get access to Summer Summit, so it will be up. It's one of our PD events that we keep up all year long, so you can access the recordings if you didn't get a chance to join it live. So I really hope you guys will do that and join us in Impact, stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact. Yeah, and I think that you will just learn so much from Elissa's presentation and from the others as well. All right, talk to you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.